The next time you slice into a watermelon and drop the rind straight into the trash, pay attention to this. A team of researchers at Florida State University handed pre-hypertensive adults a daily dose of a single compound pulled from watermelon. 6 weeks later, their systolic blood pressure had fallen by roughly 15 millimeters of mercury. No medication, no diet overhaul, a compound their bodies were already recognizing because they had been eating trace amounts of it every summer of their lives. Here's the strange part. That compound is not concentrated in the sweet red center you actually eat. It sits, in higher amounts, in the pale layer under the skin, the part you're trained to throw away. For most of us, watermelon is filed under one word: hydration, a summer fruit. 92% water, sweet enough to feel like it's offering only calories, cold enough to feel like it's offering only relief, so nobody looks past the surface. Nobody asks what is actually inside. That is the problem, not your kitchen habits, the framing. Meanwhile, 6 aisles over in the same store, an amino acid derivative sits in a plastic bottle marked for blood flow, endurance, and cardiovascular performance. The label prices it somewhere between $20 and $40. Athletes stack it before workouts. Older adults are told to take it for circulation. What that bottle does not advertise, what the marketing has no reason to advertise, is that the compound was first isolated from the exact fruit sitting in your fridge, named after it, studied because of it. The label on the melon says water and sugar. The label on the supplement says vascular support. The biochemistry underneath both labels tells a longer story about what happens inside your arteries in the 90 minutes after that first bite and the 6 weeks after that. The compound is called L-citrulline. It's a non-essential amino acid, which sounds boring until you follow it through your body. When you swallow it, whether from a supplement capsule or from watermelon, most of it slips past the liver, which is unusual. Most amino acids get filtered on the first pass and repurposed for muscle or metabolism. L-citrulline does not. It rides the bloodstream almost intact to your kidneys, where an enzyme rebuilds it into a second amino acid called L-arginine. L-arginine is the raw material your endothelium, the single-cell lining of every artery, vein, and capillary in your body, uses to manufacture nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the signal your blood vessels wait for. When levels rise, the smooth muscle in the vessel wall relaxes, the vessel widens, pressure drops, flow increases. Picture your circulatory system as a garden hose network with a valve at every branch. All day, those valves are being held partway closed by stress hormones: cold, salt, poor sleep, aging. L-citrulline is not water forcing through the hose. It is a chemical whisper to the valves, a signal that says, ease off, let more through. A study published in the American Journal of Hypertension in 2012 tracked 14 adults with prehypertension or stage 1 hypertension. They took 6 grams of watermelon extract daily for 6 weeks. At the end of the trial, their brachial systolic blood pressure had dropped by roughly 15 millimeters of mercury, and their diastolic by about 8. The researchers noted the effect appeared linked to improved arterial function, the vessels themselves behaving younger. If you have cold hands in a room where everyone else is fine, you are feeling a version of this pathway underperforming. If your legs feel heavy climbing one flight of stairs when they didn't 3 years ago, same signal. Your endothelium is quietly rationing. If this is catching you off guard the same way it caught me when I first read the research, take 1 second, hit like on this video, and subscribe. This channel exists to dig into the science nobody puts on the label. Now here's the part that surprises people even more. The compound is called lycopene, and watermelon is one of the richest natural sources of it, often higher, gram for gram, than raw tomatoes. It's what gives ripe watermelon its deep red color. Also what gives ripe tomatoes theirs, and red grapefruit, and guava. Same pigment, different fruits. Lycopene is a carotenoid, a fat-soluble molecule your body cannot manufacture. It does not go where the citrulline goes. It does not touch the blood vessel signaling system. Instead, once absorbed with dietary fat, it embeds itself into the lipid particles circulating in your blood, the LDL particles, the same ones cardiologists talk about when they say cholesterol. Here's why that matters. LDL particles by themselves are not the villain of cardiovascular disease. Oxidized LDL is. When those particles get chemically damaged by free radicals in the bloodstream, they become sticky and immune cells start pulling them into the artery wall, the first step in the plaque that eventually narrows a vessel. Lycopene, riding along inside the LDL particle, functions like a bodyguard. It absorbs the oxidative hit before the particle itself takes damage. Think of LDL as a fleet of delivery trucks carrying fuel through your circulatory highway. Free radicals are a hailstorm. Lycopene is the covered roof on each truck. The trucks still make their run, the fuel still gets delivered, they just don't come back dented enough to trigger the immune response. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition has shown that watermelon juice raises plasma lycopene levels comparably to processed tomato products, the sources cardiologists usually point to. And a growing body of observational research has linked higher blood lycopene levels with lower cardiovascular mortality, though the exact mechanisms are still being mapped. The effect is cumulative. One bowl of watermelon does not restructure your arteries. A season of it, layered over years, quietly shifts the arithmetic. Now think about who is most exposed to what these two compounds are quietly correcting. Someone in their late 30s or 40s. Desk work. Sits 8 hours. Blood pressure creeping upward each annual checkup, but not yet flagged as hypertensive. Cold fingers in air conditioning. Slight fog after lunch. LDL a little high, but no medication yet. Not sick, not diagnosed, just trending. That person is not going to be handed a prescription. That person is going to be told to watch it. And in the 2-year window between watch it and you need medication, the endothelium is doing more damage per season than anyone tracks. That is the person who benefits most from what is sitting in the produce aisle for $2. Not because watermelon is medicine, because for the exact window before medicine, the body still responds to the compounds it evolved eating. So what do you actually do with this? 1. Choose watermelon at full ripeness, not underripe. Lycopene content climbs sharply as watermelon ripens. The pale, mostly pink flesh you sometimes get from a store bin is not the same molecule delivery as the deep red flesh of a melon that finished on the vine. When you tap it, listen for a low, hollow tone. When you cut it, look for saturated red, not pink. If it's pink, the pigment isn't finished forming, and the compound you're after is not fully there. 2. Use the pale layer under the skin. The white rind directly beneath the green skin contains more citrulline than the sweet red flesh. Most people cut it off and throw it away. You can blend it into a smoothie with the flesh, pickle it, or juice it. It is neutral in flavor. Losing it is losing the strongest concentration of the compound the supplement industry sells back to you in a bottle. 3. Pair it with a small amount of fat. Lycopene is fat-soluble. Eaten alone, absorption is measurable but modest. Eaten alongside a source of fat, a handful of walnuts, feta on the side, a drizzle of olive oil in a salad, absorption climbs substantially. This is why the traditional watermelon and feta plate is not just a flavor tradition. It is a chemistry choice, whether anyone knew it or not. 4. Eat it on an empty or lightly fasted stomach for the citrulline effect. Citrulline absorption is highest when the digestive tract isn't also processing a heavy meal. A bowl of watermelon 30 to 60 minutes before exercise, or as a mid-morning snack, gets the amino acid into circulation cleanly, giving your endothelium the substrate it needs right when you're about to demand more from it. Most people eat watermelon because it's cold and sweet. They finish it, throw the rind away, and never think about it again. The person who understands what is actually happening eats differently. They pick for ripeness because they know lycopene is riding inside those LDL particles by afternoon. They save the rind because they know citrulline is heading for the kidney and coming back as arginine, and their endothelium is waiting. They pair it with fat. They time it around their day. Same fruit, same price, 2 different biochemistries, depending entirely on what you know. If this changed how you look at watermelon, wait until you see what beets are doing to the exact same nitric oxide pathway, from the opposite direction, through a compound that shows up in your bloodstream within 45 minutes of eating them and lasts long enough to change how your muscles use oxygen. That's the next video. See you inside it.